Hello and welcome to FME Server Apps and beyond. My name is Dennis Wilhelm and I've been working as a software engineer at Contera since 2015. In order to show you what FME Server Apps are all about, I figured let's start with a demo right at the beginning. So if I move over to the FME Server web interface, what we can do is we can go to FME Server Apps, click Build Workspace App, and by simply filling out all of these information like name, title, and description, we can create the base information for our app. And now we only need to specify which workspace should be used. And in my example, this would be my app demo repository with the download data workspace. I could also specify which parameters should be used or should be visible in the app. For example, I have a parameter that shows me all of these output formats. And I can also specify different images that could be used, for example, as a browser icon, heading background, heading logo, and so on. So let's upload a few images. For my heading logo, I'm going to upload a specific file. And I'm also going to provide a footer logo. And now if I click OK, I get an URL that's basically pointing me to my demo application. So that's all it takes to create a small application. And as you can see here, I can specify my format. I can also choose a map extent. Let's choose something like that. And if I click OK, the workspace is running. And in this specific case, I'm getting a download URL to download my data. Once your application is up and running, you could integrate it as an iframe into an existing website, which could basically look like this. So we have a website and your FME Server app seamlessly integrates as if it would be part of this whole website. So let's go back to the slides. What we have seen so far is basically a way to create clean and easy to use websites, or as they are called here, apps, which are based on published parameters of a workspace and based also on the services data streaming, data download, and job submitter. So you could basically stream data. For example, you can simply output an image that would be shown right away. You can provide a data download, which would be a zip file containing all of your data sets, or you could run a job submitter workspace, which would simply execute as a normal workspace would. You can specify various images and texts to create a custom design. And if required, you can also specify that all of your users should be authenticated to use your app. If you have multiple apps, you could also aggregate all of that together into a gallery, which would basically show multiple apps on one site. So why do we even need FME Server Apps? Basically, you should know your target audience. And I guess most of us are GIS professionals using FME Desktop or FME Server for quite a long time. And we are not easily intimidated by a workspace as seen on the slide here. We could also have workspaces that are basically running as automations, which don't need a user interface at all. But the last bullet point here, self-service, is where FME Server Apps are really shining. So if you have a target audience that isn't experienced using FME Server or FME Desktop, then you don't really want to make your workspace or your interface really complicated, but rather what you want to have is you want to have an intuitive user interface that's easy to use and doesn't really need training or anything else in order to be successful. And what you can also do is you can integrate apps into an existing website, and therefore a user wouldn't even know that he is currently using FME. But what if I need more than that? So luckily, FME Server provides a REST interface, which allows you to do almost anything you can do in the original FME web interface. So you can run FME Server workspaces, but you could also have a look at all the different existing users, workspaces, repositories, and all of that stuff. So what we did is we did a full integration into a Webgis. And the main goal for that is basically that you can interact with already existing data in your application. For example, you could use data that's already existing on a map for your process, or you could visualize results in your application, for example, vector data on your map. This allows for more complex workflows which might even include multiple steps. So for example, you could upload data, edit all of this data that you have uploaded. So for example, geometries, attributes, and all of that stuff. And later on, you might want to integrate your edited data in your database, or you might want to provide a download for the user again. So I guess it's time for another demonstration. This demo shows our product called MapApps. MapApps is a highly customizable Web.js for which we created a plugin to run FME workspaces. The FME output can be understood by MapApps, which allows us to display the result on the map. We noticed that one of the most important steps for a broader audience, at least, is to provide some sort of input validation. Therefore, our upload widget, which you can see here, can be configured to restrict certain file types. In this specific scenario, we are allowed to upload shapefiles, zip files, and all of the shapefile extensions and any sort of file size. So let's upload something that isn't allowed, just to make sure that that's working. Okay, so as a user, I now understand that I'm not supposed to upload a file like this, and I'm not frustrated later on if my process doesn't work. So now I'm going to upload a file that is allowed, which is just a shapefile. And in this case, I already know that my shapefile consists out of polygons. And in the next step, I can specify my published parameters, which could be color, for example. And once I run my workspace, FME handles the data processing to make sure that we have a format that MapApps understands. I could now go ahead and upload even more data, maybe with another color to make sure that I can distinguish between all of them. And the nice thing here is that now that I have all my data in MapApps, I can fully work with all of that. So I could provide, for example, I could have a look at all of the data in our result center, which is just a table view of all of the attributes, or I could even go ahead and start to edit the geometries of individual features. Once everything is as I expect it to be, I could also go ahead, select data again that I might want to download. So in this case, I can select a few entries down in our result center again, and make sure that I use another workspace, which could also be used to specify which parameters or which attributes I want to download. And in the next step, I can specify my download format again. From all of the presets, I specify my FME workspace. And once I click Start Transformation again, I can download the result as a zip archive. As I mentioned, this is a full-blown Web.js, which could also be used for many more functionalities. For example, you could create custom queries to search for your data and all of that stuff. But that's enough for this demonstration. Since we're using FME in the background, we can also do more advanced stuff like pre-processing data to provide more meaningful information. So in this case, I'm uploading a DXF file again, which simply consists out of a few point information. And I can specify drive time polygons for 5, 10, and 15 minutes based from these point locations. And that basically shows us how the power of FME can also be used in a simple import mechanism to provide more meaningful information, which wouldn't be possible in other applications. All right, let's go back to the slides. So what did we see in this talk? It's really easy to create simple and intuitive FME server applications, FME server apps, which can be basically clicked together in 1 or 2 minutes. And they can even be used in more advanced applications by providing them as iframes or simply by creating a link to these applications. And for most use cases, these are perfectly fine. They create a more easy to use interface than the default FME server interface would, and therefore allowing us to create applications for a broader audience. if you need more functionality than that, you can easily use the REST interface if you know how to use it and if you are used to developing your own applications. And therefore, the possibilities are basically endless and can be used to create custom integrations, as you could see in our application, which allow you to create any sort of application that might want to use FME processes in the background without showing any of the complex process to the actual user. So if you like this talk and you want to know more about FME, map apps, or our integrations, feel free to contact us at fme@conterra.de, visit our channels and all of that stuff. And have fun with the next talks and hope we see you soon. Bye.